The observation deck of the Galactic Unity Station hummed with the usual cacophony of 1,000 different species attempting coexistence. Sarah Wynne sat alone at a corner table in the communal feeding hall, her standard-issue nutrition pack spread before her like a small fortress of practicality. She'd been assigned to the xenobiology research wing for 3 rotations now, and the isolation was beginning to wear on her. Humans were still a curiosity here, a species barely 2 centuries into their spacefaring age, surrounded by civilizations that had been traversing the stars for millennia. Most species kept their distance either from fear of human unpredictability or simple disinterest in such newcomers. Sarah picked at her synthesized protein bar, watching the organized chaos around her. That's when she noticed them. A Kravathi mother, her reptilian scales gleaming under the station's artificial lighting, herded 3 cubs toward a feeding station. The species was known throughout the galaxy for their strict hierarchical feeding rituals and fierce territoriality. The cubs, no larger than human toddlers, stumbled on their developing legs, their golden eyes wide with hunger. One cub lagged behind, smaller than its siblings. Sarah watched as it struggled to keep pace, clearly weaker. When the family reached their designated area, the mother began the traditional feeding sequence. Eldest first, then the middle cub. The smallest, later she would learn his name was Threk, waited at the back, trembling slightly. Something in Sarah's chest tightened. She'd studied enough xenobiology to know that interfering with alien cultural practices was forbidden, but she'd also grown up with 3 younger siblings in the agricultural domes of Mars, where no one ate until everyone had food. The next day, Sarah deliberately chose a table adjacent to where the Kravathi family had fed. She arrived early, her meal laid out with mathematical precision. When the mother appeared with her cubs, Sarah caught little Threk's eye. The cub's gaze was sharp, intelligent beyond what the scientific literature suggested. As the family began their ritual, Sarah slowly, carefully, broke off a portion of her protein bar. She placed it on the floor halfway between her table and where Threk waited. The cub's nostrils flared. His eyes darted between the food, his mother, and Sarah. For 3 days, Sarah repeated this action. The food remained untouched, but Threk watched. Always watched. On the 4th day, after his siblings had eaten and his mother was distracted, Threk crept forward. His small claws clicked against the metal flooring. He snatched the offering and retreated, consuming it in desperate gulps. Sarah didn't smile, didn't acknowledge. She simply continued eating her own meal. The pattern established itself over the following weeks. Sarah would share. Threk would wait until it was safe, then accept. But something unexpected began to happen. Threk started arriving at the feeding hall before his family. He would position himself where he could see Sarah's usual table, his posture alert, waiting. When Sarah arrived and sat down, only then would Threk signal his mother that he was ready to eat. Then his siblings began to notice. The middle cub approached Sarah's table one day, cautious but curious. Sarah shared with him too. The eldest followed soon after, pride overcome by curiosity about what made the humans food worth waiting for. Within a month, all 3 cubs had stopped eating until Sarah arrived and took her seat. They would watch her prepare her meal, and only when she broke off portions for them would they signal their mother to begin the family's feeding ritual. The Kravathi mother, matriarch Seshka, finally approached Sarah directly on the 43rd day. The researcher tensed, expecting anger, perhaps even violence. Kravathi were formidable warriors, and their maternal instincts were legendary. "You feed my young," Seshka's translator crackled, her voice a deep rumble. "I share my meal," Sarah corrected carefully. "There's a difference." Seshka's head tilted, an almost avian gesture of consideration. "My species does not comprehend this. Resources are controlled. Hierarchy is maintained. Yet you give to those not of your blood, not of your species. Where I come from," Sarah said slowly, "we believe that everyone eats, or no one eats. It's not about hierarchy, it's about survival. Together." The matriarch was silent for a long moment. Then she did something unprecedented in Kravathi culture. She sat at Sarah's table. Not at her own feeding station, but at the humans' table. "My Threk was the weakest," Seshka said quietly. "I feared he would not survive to maturity. In my culture this is expected, the weak do not continue. But now he is stronger. He waits not from weakness but from choice, from respect. Sarah felt tears prick her eyes but held them back. He's a good kid. All three of them are. Word spread through the station like radiation through a hull breach. The human who fed the Kravathi cubs. The human who had taught predator young to wait, not from fear but from community. Other species began to watch. A Thalorian trader started joining them, bringing sweet fungal cakes from his homeworld. A Trellian engineer offered crystallized proteins. Soon Sarah's corner table had expanded to accommodate a dozen different species, all sharing meals, all waiting for everyone to arrive before beginning. The station's xenosociology department filed 17 reports on the phenomenon. They called it unprecedented cross-species social bonding. They theorized about human pack-bonding instincts and resource-sharing evolutionary advantages. But Sarah knew the truth was simpler and more profound. Humans had learned something during their long climb from the caves to the stars. Survival wasn't about being the strongest or the fastest. It was about making sure everyone had a place at the table. 3 months after that first shared meal, Sarah watched Threk, no longer the smallest, his scales now gleaming with health, wait patiently at the feeding hall entrance. Not because he was weak, not because he was last, but because he was waiting for his friend. And when Sarah arrived, Threk's eyes gleamed with something the Kravathi had never named in their ancient language. But humans had known for millennia. It looked a lot like family.